What's up, everyone? First and foremost, I apologize for not posting in the last few weeks. I've been very busy working, but that is what this video is about. It's about the places that I've lived in and the places where I've worked while being in Australia. So hopefully this will help you guys get an idea of how to find work and accommodation in Australia while you're traveling here on a working holiday visa. My name is Sebastian, and this is the Life of Seb. Boom. Now in this video we're going to be going through a chronological order of all the places where I've lived and worked here in Australia. And the main thing that I want you guys to take away from it is that I didn't plan any of it. Everything just came out organically as I needed things, and that's how I like to live my life as I'm traveling, is just be open to opportunities and new experiences. And that's led me to have 9 different jobs and live in 10 different places. So we're going to start from the very beginning when I arrived to Australia, December 2015. Yes, December 2015, 2 years ago. So basically I arrived and I had met some friends in Canada that were Australian that had an extra bedroom in their house in Adelaide. And that's my very first tip for you guys, is make friends. They're gonna help you so much when it comes to getting set up or crashing in their couch for a little bit, paying a little bit of rent. In this case, I actually lived in their motorhome that they had parked at the very front. So that was an amazing experience and a great kickoff to my time in Australia. While I was living there, I found a job in the city at an Irish pub in downtown Adelaide. And that job I actually found through word of mouth. I had heard from a lot of travelers and a lot of people that lived in Adelaide that was a bar that would hire a lot of travelers. It was actually my very first job, and it was a matter of just sending them an email with my resume, and before I knew it, I had the job. And that's actually where I met my girlfriend, which leads to the second place that I lived. As soon as I met my girlfriend and we started dating, I moved to Glenelg, South Australia, which is just towards the beach side from Adelaide, maybe a 20-minute drive. But that's the second place. Comes back to the people that you meet and what they can offer you, as well as what you guys can offer them. So from there, I quit my job at the Irish bar and I bought a van, which was the third place where I've lived. And that van cost me $2,000. It had a bed, I put a little kitchen in there, some water, some food storage, and I drove that the East Coast from Adelaide all the way up to the Gold Coast. I didn't have a job throughout that time, but I was actually living out of my van for nearly 4 weeks. That was a great experience. When I arrived to the Gold Coast, I had like $200 to my name, and that was just barely enough to put a down payment in an apartment, fill up my gas tank in order to find some jobs, and pay for printing my resume. But that first apartment that I found was actually a house, a shared house. I found it on a website called Gumtree. Gumtree is a website where I'm going to be talking a lot about it because I've gotten a lot of my both accommodation and jobs through Gumtree. But if you guys check out gumtree.com.au from your web browser, and you can type in like jobs and accommodation, and it's basically a classifieds website like Craigslist. So I found a house there. It was like $100 down payment, $100 a week per person. There was 2 of us living there. So it was a little bit expensive for what it was, but it was a great experience, and we didn't plan any of this. This was like as soon as I arrived. And because I only had $200, I needed a job, which led to my second job in Australia, which was at Event Cinema's Gold Class VIP Lounge. I printed out 25 resumes. On the 23rd resume that I handed out in the same day, I landed that job. But I was able to work there while living in the Gold Coast, and it was absolutely amazing. From there, we decided to move out of that shared house because there were 11 people living in like a 5-bedroom house. There were people living in the garage and in the living room. It was crazy. But we decided to move out of there because some friends that are Australian that I met in Canada that lived in the Gold Coast had a vacancy in their apartment. So my girlfriend and I moved to Broad Beach, which is closer to Surfers Paradise, still in the Gold Coast. And once we were there, we paid a little bit less rent. We had a bit more freedom. It was a smaller house, but it was really awesome because we got to share some really good times with those friends. I lived there for 3 months, but as it came to an end, I had planned to go back up to Cairns for a second time, but this time take my girlfriend with me. I sold my van in order to make a little bit of money off of it, bought a car, and I literally lived in a tent between the Gold Coast and Cairns, which was for like 4 days. We lived in a tent and we just like camped as we went. And as soon as we got to Cairns, we found a hostel that had a little patch of grass at the back, and we paid like $15 a day. And we set up a tent, and we literally lived in a tent at the back of a hostel. So I did that for 3 weeks while going to the Great Barrier Reef, the Coronda Village, Daintree Rainforest, and having a car gave us the flexibility of packing up that tent, going to camp somewhere else, and then bringing it back to that hostel as a home base. When we finished in Cairns, my girlfriend flew back to Adelaide because she had to do some schooling. I flew back down to Adelaide to meet her, and it was time for me to do my regional work. But just before that, I found a job on Gumtree at a place called Sammy's on the Marina. Big shout out to the owner there as well. They've looked after me like no one ever before in Australia. And basically they hired me, and I was working there a few hours. And then it was time to do my regional work. So I left Sammy's. I found the regional work, the farm work that I did, which was in Two Wells, which is a 1 hour drive from Adelaide to Two Wells. And that job I found through a website called Indeed, if I'm not mistaken. And they just had an ad. I sent an email through, I got a phone number, and I just called them because I really needed the farm work to be done before my 88th last day in the country. So I landed that job, did the farm work, and I was having to drive for an hour between Adelaide and Two Wells. So what I decided to do was just to move to Elizabeth. It's like the dirtiest, crummiest people you'll ever meet. But I decided to live there because it was like a 20-minute drive from the farm to Elizabeth. And I found that one on Gumtree, and it was $115 a week. So I just messaged her, gave her a phone call, and before I knew it, I had moved in. When I finished that regional work, I moved back down to Glenelg to my girlfriend's house. And then Sammy's rehired me for the summer, and I did the entire summer there. Now at that point, my girlfriend's sister was moving into the apartment, and we decided that'd be best if I moved out to kind of give her sister and her that experience that they looked forward to from the very beginning, was to live together as sisters in the house. So I moved into a house that I found with my friend Jonathan, who you've met in my other vlogs. And I moved into that house that I found through a real estate company. Horrible experience with them, by the way. At least we got to rent this apartment, which you see in my earlier vlogs were actually filmed there. And we did a 6-month lease. It was $250 a week for 2-bedroom, 1 washroom, kitchen, living room apartment, unfurnished, split between 2 people, $125 plus utilities, rounded up to $140 a week, all included. And as we came into winter, now we're talking March 2017, as like the summer started to die off and the hours started to die down at the marina at Sammy's, I found a job at a Greek seafood restaurant in the city. And they really looked after me there while I was there. I was getting around 30 hours a week, and I actually found that job on Facebook. I joined a group called Adelaide Hospitality Crew, and I just put my resume, my experience, and I was able to land that job pretty easily. Unfortunately, they were doing lunch and dinner shifts, which made it really hard for me to drive down for lunch, drive back to Glenelg to like go to the gym and have lunch or whatever, drive back to the city, do the dinner service, and then drive back. That led to me finding another job, which was for Nescafe, and that's when I started doing marketing work. And that marketing company hired me, and my job was a brand ambassador. I found that job on Seek or Indeed, one of the two. Anyways, guys, hopefully that gives you an idea of how to find work and accommodation while you're in Australia. That's just based on my experience. Like I said, nothing was planned. It was the only things that were planned were that I wanted to live in the Gold Coast, I wanted to buy a van, I wanted to go to Cairns and see the Great Barrier Reef, and everything else just unfolded. So have comfort, guys. If you're outgoing people and you have a good head on your shoulders, basically when you arrive to this country, you're gonna figure everything out on your own. But hopefully I've given you a few tools such as Gumtree, Indeed, Seek, 3 websites that I would definitely check out for jobs and accommodation. There's a website called flatmates.com.au. Flatmates is a really good website to find roommates, people that are looking to find a house or a share house or something like that. And another tool, guys, is Facebook. Facebook is great for networking, and there's a lot of buy and sell groups, job listings, marketplace. There's a lot of opportunities on Facebook to put yourself out there and get jobs. Now, I'm not working professionally. Like I said in a previous video, the best way, in my opinion, while you're working and traveling and trying to earn income with as little commitment as possible and as most income and flexibility as possible to still enjoy your time, is hospitality. It's a great way to meet people, it's a great way to make some money, and it's a great way to minimize your commitment to a place, because you can be honest with the employer and say, look, I'm gonna be here for 4 weeks. I'm gonna offer you my full effort at your restaurant or your bar. I'm fully trained bartending, plug and play. You can get the job that easy. So anyways, guys, I hope that this video helped you. If so, write me a comment in the comment section below and give me a thumbs up. If you guys have any questions, make sure to write them on my Facebook or on the YouTube comments. I don't get many, so I read all of them. And if you guys want to keep following my journey on Life of Seb, make sure to click that subscribe button and check me out at lifeofseb.com. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is Life of Seb. My name is Sebastian. See you next time.